So I call this work session to order.
Just jump right in.
Yeah. So, council, let's go down the line. What's everyone's opinions or concerns? Positive, negative? Regarding this ordinance that we've been working on, I've been working on since February.
Can you start if no one else wants? Go ahead. All right. So I have three things that I personally would like to see changed in order for me to be good. I'd like to see the emergency contact section taken out, that people don't have to post the emergency contact on all of the buildings. Reason being, with the programs that we have, the police station and the code office should be able to sync up to access the same information. So if there is an emergency situation that someone needs to be reached immediately, the police station should be able to access that information through iWorks. If for some reason that wouldn't be possible, I'd be willing to listen to that, but I'm 99% from listening to everybody talk that they should be able to access all that information. Or they can be given that information to be able to access it. So we can have access to as long as someone registers, all that information should be there available for us in the police department at any time of the day to be able to get it. That's one thing. The second is if a person is selling the property, I think we should be making signage for selling optional. We shouldn't be telling people that they have to put signs on the property that say for sale if they don't want it to be, if they don't want it to look, if they think that, if their opinion is that for sale signs look bad or for sale signs don't make their properties look good, whatever it is, we shouldn't be telling them that. But if they want to come in and apply for a waiver of sale, so if that, the reason that they don't want to pay the fee is because they're selling the property or trying to sell it, then we just got to see somehow where they're advertising it. So proof of online advertisement, proof of brokerage agreement, proof of something that they're working with a realtor or advertising on Facebook, whatever it is, just show us proof. Then the third thing is I think we should be rewarding people that have no violations or that are not behind on taxes. They shouldn't have to be doing an annual registration process. So the way I think it should work, is my opinion, is if once someone does the initial registration, once they sign up, they don't have to register again until they either are behind on taxes or get some kind of code violation or citation. So grass is dry, they get a citation, they go back on the registration process. Then it's almost like a reward for the people that aren't doing anything wrong, that we know the properties are in good shape, that they're trying to sell it, they're working on it, whatever it is. That way they don't have to come back every single year if the property's still vacant and doing this registration. But as soon as they have a violation, or again, taxes are behind or something, then I think they should be on it for 3 years if they register. As long as in those 3 years there's no issues, they go back off if the property is still vacant. If the property is filled in that time, it doesn't matter. They come off anyways. But then the whole point of this is obviously getting the people that are having the violations, are having the issues, and going after making sure we're getting those properties either filled, sold, whatever it is. And I think that still does that without having to have the people that have no violations, have no issues, go through this process every year. So those are the three things that I would like to see changed to make it work for me. I don't know if you guys have any questions about those or.
As far as the property signage for selling the property, I think it should be there on the property. This ordinance is written to promote substantial efforts on the part of the property owner to substantially use that property in the city limits.
So I guess the only thing to counteract that is, so if they just don't feel that for sale sign is what they need to sell it, and they come to you with a proof that says, here's an online advertisement, you don't think that's enough?
No.
Why is that?
Every property should be properly posted if it's for sale, for rent, for lease, if they are trying to substantially put an effort into utilizing the property.
How many people do you think nowadays are buying properties because they saw a sign on the property?
I found my house because there's a for sale sign on it.
Okay, that's you, but most people are buying it online.
Okay.
So,
There's still investors that's never been to Sunbury that can drive through. No public comment during this session.
I know what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from.
This ordinance isn't to make it completely easy for property owners of empty and vacant properties. This ordinance is written to promote substantial effort so that the properties can be utilized and benefit the entire community.
I get, and again, it just might be a difference of opinion on that, where I think if someone's posting the property online, doing the work online, showing that they're doing something.
If they want to sell the property, why wouldn't they want a for sale sign on it?
We don't want signage. I don't know, again, that's just my opinion, that I don't think we as a group should be telling people that they have to put a sign on their property. It's their property, if they don't want to put a sign on it, but they're still trying to sell it in some way, they're still showing us an effort. Some way.
It's not promoting substantial efforts.
I don't know, agree with this person now.
I don't like the signage either, okay? Here we got, and John Shipper made a good point. Posting these signs over the place that allows the people undesirables to know where there's nobody there.
They already know where they are.
And down here, there's one article here, it's written up about advertising in the newspaper. I don't know who does that anymore, I haven't done it for years, I use the internet. That's kind of old-fashioned, I think.
Can you finish reading the definition, please? Regularly and consistently advertising the property in newspapers of general circulation or other proper advertising methods, not just newspapers.
I understand that. That's-
But if you're gonna make a comment, at least be complete with it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry about that. Like I said about this, and also back to the sale signs. If you ask the real estate people, I don't know if anybody is here this evening, don't have people post something for sale. They want it private. They don't want to, if it's a business, they don't want everybody to know the business is for sale. Okay.
That is correct. They do have the option in the contract if they want to sign posted.
There's no public comment at this work session,
So I am a real
please.
estate agent.
But it's
and I
good to know
can
that.
make
That's good to
comment.
know.
Thank
You make a comment during the council meeting.
Thank you. I've been involved in something like that one time. One of the other questions I have, if I have a building which I purchased, it's unoccupied, this is a double home, and I have a building permit permit's good, what, 3 years, Rick?
Building permit, no, I think they're only good for 1 year now. They were good for 5 at one point in time,
Okay.
but they're only good for a year and
Is that, Mr. Mayor, is that, out of the, necessary to fill all this out if I'm under construction?
Yes, if it's empty and vacant. But if it's under construction, you get a waiver for the fees.
I'd go for a waiver. Back to the code office. I think, because the last time we had a discussion about this, a lot of people are complaining about all the time and effort you have to take and put into this. In our code office, it needs updated to the point where if I can get online and get my driver's license, my registration for my vehicle, and so forth, why can't I take and fill out an application at the code office for this and also my rental permits? There's where we ought to be starting there. To make
Okay, so
this
talk to the councilman in charge of code office.
I already did, but I was under the impression it took money out of his budget when he wanted to do some upgrades. I missed the last budget meeting, but was for personnel. My concern is, we don't have enough personnel in the office now.
And the way this ordinance is written, it puts everything on to the property owners. They have to come in, they have to file for everything, they pay for it.
That's my point, exactly, thank you. You put everything on the property owner, and we make it more difficult for the property owners.
To promote substantial effort to utilize the property.
Now you're missing the whole point here.
No, I think you're missing the whole point.
Oh, okay. Anyhow, I'm trying to get things simplified in the office, so the people make the investments in the city of Sunbury.
And with this ordinance, I'm not worried about re-election or losing the vote, because I believe in this, and it's gonna benefit the city if we pass something similar or pass this.
I just agree, but you have to be able to make it simplified process for people that are applying. And also,
Why do you wanna make it so simple that it doesn't promote substantial effort to utilize a property? All I'm hearing from the council right now is, it's okay, they don't wanna put a for sale sign on the property, they don't wanna do it. If they pay their taxes, they cut the grass, and they don't wanna utilize the properties, they don't have to come in and register it. It's
why should they?
because we should be caring about the city of Sunbury as a whole, and not just one person, one entity, one business, one organization.
But see, I guess that's the part that I don't agree with here. I don't know how.
Every
this-
city
how does
and
this-
municipality that I have talked to said they enacted this ordinance because it is a tool to move their municipalities forward with lowering the number of vacant and empty buildings. and it's to promote, like I say it all the time, it promotes substantial effort. If it's completely easy and you don't have to do anywhere, how is that promoting substantial effort on on the property owner's behalf to actually utilize and do something?
Okay, so you said a couple things. So you said that, you know, you would base off other ordinances that other cities wrote, but you said multiple times that it's not the exact same ordinance. You didn't cookie cutter copy it. You made it right for us. So
No.
I think this conversation.
Majority of municipalities don't have the same exact ordinance.
That's what I'm trying to say. So ours is different from everyone else's, right?
And
So
majority of
what's right
everyone
for
else
us-
is different from them as well.
So what's right for us may not be right for them. So in my mind, when I'm thinking of the amount of vacant properties that we have as a beginning, and there are good property owners in this city that I don't think we need to put extra burden on them. If they decide that they want to keep a property vacant, and they have a reason that it qualifies for the waiver, if they go through the waiver process and it qualifies, and then they pay their taxes, they cut their grass, they keep it up to code, the code never has to go out there. Why should they have to come back every single year and do the registration? It's the only change that I see that's a huge one that benefits those people that don't need to have to go through that extra. They're not the ones that we're focused on with this ordinance anyways. We're not gonna make them do anything with their property, even if they come in and register it every year. So what's the point of making them do that? We're just angering people that are trying to do good, that are keeping their properties up to code, rather than if they fall under a code violation, they fall under tax implication, whatever it is, then we take the registration, then we have them do it every year, then we make them show that substantial effort over and over that they are utilizing their property properly within the city.
Just because someone cuts the grass and pays the property taxes and maintains an empty building, does that make that property
If they qualify for the waiver.
worthwhile for the city?
If they qualify for the waiver, what right do we have to tell them to do anything other than that? You know what I'm saying? Because that's where I'm at with it. They qualify for the waiver anyway, they go through the waiver process. What right do we have to tell them to do more than that? Nothing. Right? So make them go down that road and make them do this every year. If they're just gonna keep that property as is either way, what's the point? Why are we adding more work to the code office and more work for ourselves and more work for the property owner? Doesn't make sense.
To promote substantial effort.
I get that, but I guess we're looking at the substantial effort the wrong way, you know? We're trying to get the people that aren't taking care of the properties, aren't doing the things, we want substantial effort
I
from
mean,
them.
what about the properties that are empty for 10 years, they're paying the taxes, they're washing the windows, they're cutting the grass? How is that property benefiting the city of Sunbury?
They paid for the property, it's not our right to tell them what to do with it.
It is their right to own that property, do as they please with it, but it's also our duty as elected officials to watch out for the city as a whole.
I agree, but if they paid for the property and they keep it up to code, they pay the taxes, they're doing their due diligence, and they're doing everything we're asking of them, what more,
That's it.
what legal
That-
ground do we have?
The
to tell
property
them
is
to do?
taken away from what the city could have by maintaining it being empty.
So you were
A
telling
business
them-
could be in it, people could be in it, well, less, like, our tax revenue could be higher with the business being in it, our revenue could be higher with personal income tax.
So how does this make them do anything different?
And promote substantial effort, because they're gonna have to go out of their way, make sure that we understand what's going on with the property, who owns the property.
So filling in that paper that you said takes 5 minutes every year is gonna make them fill that property?
Did you not hear all the negative comments because people didn't want to come in and fill out the paper that takes 5 minutes?
That's why we don't want to put it on the internet. Exactly.
Like I said, I think it's a good thing. I think the point that, why we're having this session is that we want it to pass, and I want it to pass, I wanted to see it go through.
Now, council wants it to pass so that property owners aren't held liable for the condition and empty
What if I
buildings.
said doesn't hold a property owner that's not taking their property?
Let's say you don't want a for sale sign on the property because if the owner doesn't want a for sale sign, they don't have to have a for sale sign. That's not promoting substantial effort to sell the
If
property.
they sell online.
And you want to reward people that have no violations, which I can understand, but they should still be required to register the property every year to make sure that our information is updated.
But how we do it. Okay, well, yeah, so all you have to do is put in something that says, okay, if you qualify, that you don't have to come in and register, and let's say you change your phone number, let's say you change your address, or
So
something
that's not
happens.
promoting substantial effort to actually utilize the property. Just because someone doesn't have a code violation, they're paying the taxes and cutting grass again, does not make substantial effort to utilize the property, to put a business in there, to put tenants in there.
I don't see anything in this ordinance that does any of that, personally. If that was the whole goal of it, I don't see how this does that. Because if they wanted to fill out the paper, and let's say they just did it, and they still went in, they came in every year, and they filled it out, they got angry, they complained to the code office about how horrible the process is, they have to come in and fill it out every single year, that's it. Then we can't do anything else. We can't tell them to fill it, we can't do anything with that because it's not our right. So I don't see how this does that, even if you say you wanted to. It doesn't do that.
No one wants to pay a fee for something. No one wants to take time out of their daily activities to come in and file a paper.
But if they're getting the waiver anyways, that's where I'm at. If they're under the waiver anyways, that's when we exclude them. That's when, I don't know if anyone else, I feel like it's.
Well, back to, I don't know if we have the right to tell somebody what to do with their property. That's one of the questions, legally, okay? Next thing is down here, Chris. Are you done? You want to interrupt?
No, I'm good, that's fine.
This section about for sale or lease, about the 25% over the market value and so forth, that's something else.
That's for the waiver section. So promote substantial effort. If they want a waiver, they can't be 25% over the market value.
I know Mark Wahlberg bought numerous buildings in town here
And other municipalities that are empty.
and spent way over, the old saying, I bought this place, I know I spent too much money on fixing it up, but I did it right. And somebody, the city, somebody's gonna come along and say, it's been sitting here too long, you need to drop your price. That ain't gonna happen. I don't think we have that right though either.
We're not telling them to drop the price. We're telling them if you want a waiver of the fee, you can't be 25% over the market value.
I don't care what I.
They can sell it for whatever they want, that's their right.
You can't control the market of private people's property, of what they ask.
And you
to sell.
have the right to sell it for however much you want, but if you want a waiver of the fee, you need
It's
to be fair to the
blackmail.
city. No, it's not.
I guess my thing with this,
This is just a work session,
yeah,
no.
I guess my thing with this is, if the goal of this resolution was to try and make changes, to put this through, but I feel like every time we've talked about something, we've kind of gotten the pushback, and, I get wanting to defend it, but it seemed, if we're gonna get it through, and if it's gonna work, there's gotta be some give and some take, and some things. I'm willing to give everything but those three things. That's me personally. So I don't know where you're at, Kurt. If there's anything you're even willing to negotiate on this or talk through with it, that kind of just lets us know where we're at. And that makes it easy, if you're not willing to change.
I don't
it,
see
the point of this.
a building having substantial effort to utilize it if you're not making them put a for sale sign on it if they're trying to sell it. Because I want to sell my house, guess what? I just made an ad on Facebook for one day. There, I tried to sell my house.
And if they don't have any code violations, they don't have any issues, they don't have anything that pops up, I don't see a problem with that. That's me personally, because it's not my right to tell them what to do with that property. If you have an issue with your property and you're not.
And as far as the signage is for the waiver. If they want to get a waiver, put a for sale sign on that property.
Well, like I said, you just answered my question, obviously you don't want to change anything.
They don't have to put a for sale sign on it, but then they don't get a waiver.
I'm not gonna do
Some stuff that I went over this, and some of the stuff was all duplicates with existing ordinances and stuff that we have. And I'm just gonna go over it, and if you wanna sit down, we'll sit down, and I'll bring the other.
I've been asking you to sit down since February.
No, you haven't asked me at all. Okay, but we're not gonna get there now, we're just trying to get this resolved. Under 132.3, the applicability is already covered, section C is already covered in the Income Property Maintenance Code, section 304, 2015, which is the code that we use.
Yes, and all this ordinance does is cite that it has to be kept up to code pertaining to that ordinance that we use.
I don't see 304 in there at all. There's no law or no ordinance that we have that requires.
132-6 maintenance requirements. Sunbury City Code 130-1.
We have no law or no requirements requiring people to put fire insurance or liability on their properties. I'm sure a bank does if there's a loan or something like that, but we found nothing, nowhere. Speaking to other people, nothing.
Okay, that's a requirement if they want a waiver. If they want a waiver, show proof that the property is protected.
Wait a second. Why should I have to go through the hassle of a waiver? Because I don't want to put fire insurance on something that I own. How can the city do that?
Every municipality I talked to, people complained at first, but it always passed through and it
But no, but I'm
wasn't
asking, why
deemed
though?
illegal.
What rights does the city have to tell somebody?
Because our duty is to watch out for the city's future. Why do you want to make it so easy just to keep empty buildings around, Jim?
It's not making, no, it's you telling the public what they have to do, and
No,
what they can't
it's
do.
us telling the public to promote substantial effort on their behalf instead of collecting buildings.
Well, if it's us, then that would be out of it. I don't think we have the authority to take and mandate some of this stuff that's in here.
All right, so solicitor, since you've been working on this with me since
Can I-
the
can I-
beginning, what is your thoughts regarding the bidding process of this?
Can I finish, can I say first?
And we're gonna continue with your question. It was a question, now,
You gotta ask me a specific question, and I'll give you a specific answer.
well, their concerns are the legality of this, with holding property owners liable to have fire insurance.
You can make people have fire insurance under the law. I'm not giving, you can make people have fire insurance, that's legal. You cannot tell people how to use their property outside of zoning. And zoning has specific protections for open meetings, planning commissions, etc. So you can't say, you can't have a brothel in this neighborhood unless it's in the zoning ordinance. So there's a difference between telling people how they can and cannot use their property and whether or not they have to have fire insurance. Fire insurance, you're allowed to say you must have fire insurance for the simple fact that it protects the city from future costs of needing to knock down the property or needing to pay the fire company or, I mean, there's a million things that could happen if there's no insurance on a given building. So can you do that? Yes, you can legally. That's the answer.
So then we can make wise markets up, put an escrow account up, because they have self-insured.
Well, if they have self-insured, they don't need an escrow account.
Well, but do they have, they say they have an escrow account, how do we know there's money in the escrow account?
Is their building empty?
Well, I mean, I'm not arguing with you, Jim, about, wide markets, but their buildings aren't empty for one thing. But the other thing, I mean, Kurt's right about that, but you're right that if not Walmart, Wise's has an empty building within the city, can we force them to have insurance? Yes. Does the government recognize self-insured properties? Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's the answer.
And Mr. Mayor, they did have an empty building in the city of Sunbury, it's no longer there.
Can I have one? Okay, 132.6 maintenance requirements. They're also in the income property maintenance code 301.3 and income property maintenance code 302. And property 132.7 is in IPMC 304. I think that,
That's why these do reference our city codes.
and then also I spoke with Judge Toomey. Any summary offense has a cap limit of $300.
Well, then let's change that 500 to 300.
That's all I have.
You have any comments, Beth?
I think that we need to table this to the beginning of the year and hire a city manager now. That's my opinion.
So the goal of this was to try to get somewhere with this. Based off of any recommendations that were brought up, or do you want to change anything?
I think the for sale sign should be there. It's a requirement if they want to waive it. If they don't want to pay, if they want to pay, if they don't want to pay the fee, you apply for a waiver, but in order to apply for a waiver, there's certain guidelines. And one of the guidelines is put up your for sale sign on the property.
What about the other things that I brought up?
The emergency contact, we could remove it. I don't see an issue with that. I already lowered the size of the sign and the information on it. As far as rewarding, I still think any empty building, even if it's no violation, they can get the waivers, but they still should come in once a year. We can either set up through online or in person.
You don't have the capability to set it up online right now.
But we could have it written up that we could do either or,
We could download the form, and then they have to still bring in,
and email it.
yeah. I mean, if we got to the point where we could fill it out online and submit it, which I think we can get to
That's
over time, it would be easier. So you're not willing to budge on that at all, even if, so I said 3 years, 2 years, 1 year.
So I think once a year, just to make sure all the information is updated. They can still get their waivers. They can still get their waivers.
Well, wasn't the waiver though, it was, a forever waiver, right? Like if they got the waiver, they were good?
No, they have to apply for it every year.
I thought we changed that. That was one of the things where if you get a waiver, you got a waiver.
No, because circumstances change with the properties. There's always once a year you apply for the waiver. Same as once a year you come in and you register the property.
I could have sworn, and maybe I'm wrong. I thought at one of the last meetings, one of the things came, we talked about changing the waiver. It was actually, I think, the very first meeting we had about this. We talked about the waiver where it was that waiving the fee one time, and then we had said that if you got a waiver, you got a waiver, unless, and in my mind, unless you do anything wrong with the property. If you have a code violation, again, tax, whatever it is, I don't think you need to go through that process every single year. Again, that's the code office then having to go out and inspect and do everything every single year. Why are we wasting the time?
Not
on the process?
inspect, the inspections are after it's been vacant for an entire year.
And then do they have to do it again the next year, and the next year, and the next year? So what's the point on a good property inspecting it every year? Why are we doing that every year?
Most substantial effort.
But I feel like if a person.
What is,
wants to sell
what,
their
okay, so
property,
what are our current inspections for rental
It's
properties?
very different in my mind.
Not necessarily, that these are empty buildings that are, nobody's keeping an eye on except for a property owner.
So, in my mind, it's the difference because an empty building is, you have an empty building and that's your choice, and that's, you wanna keep an empty building, or you're actively trying to fill it, that's different than having to inspect a property that families are living in every single year. If you have people living in your home, you should be held to a certain standard versus if your property is empty. You still have to be held to code, but I don't think we should have to come out every year if it's a vacant property. It's a completely different standard in my mind that we have. So, I mean, that's why I'm at with it. With those changes, I'm willing to go forward with it.
Like you said, if somebody's living in, it's a residence, that ups the ante.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Well, how about you guys down there? I mean, trying to at least jump some conversation about it.
I'm back to the code office, we're not prepared for this. Let's say it's enacted tonight, what are they gonna do first of the year?
Collect the applications just like anyone else comes in and applies for a work permit. You're missing the point, Mr. Councilman. But it is 6 o'clock, so we're gonna end the work session because we're getting very far with this. We'll come back at 6:15.
Good job. Yeah.